Okay, post-league wrap up. Let's let's discuss. So I think this was a pretty good showing. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'll take a 4-1. I can't necessarily expect to consistently trophy with a deck that hasn't been on the radar for like a million years. It took me a little while to find a build that actually seemed competitive, because I did get 4-1 with another build, but honestly, like, that was kind of, a lot of those games are just super close, and yeah, so I just decided to reach, like I said, in the deck tech for the Might of Old Krosa scale up duo, and as we saw against the Tron matchup, just in some matchups that's just it. They just can't deal with that. Yeah, I mean, we beat the cookbook deck. Like I said, generally that's been my experience, is generally our combo kind of beats theirs. They can beat us because obviously one of the main problems is the cookbook maker creature card, Abacadabra. I don't know how you pronounce that name. You know, that can sack two foods and deal 6 damage to one of your creatures effectively. That's probably the biggest tricky part, but I don't know. Other than that, on a conceptual level, I don't think the black-green cookbook deck is too much of an issue. Stoneblade, you know, like, sometimes we can catch them off guard. That's an interesting matchup, though, that kind of has a back and forth to it. Is it prowess? I'm a little bit surprised we won this, but, I mean, I think the tech of bringing in the Spatial Contortions helps. Any speed bump, because, like, I think as the late game goes on, if we've got Inkmoth Nexus, eventually we can set up a turn where we can, I think, overload their removal a lot of times. Yeah, I mean, my hunch is that Is It Prowess is a bad matchup, but yeah, I can see it. I can see us also winning that too. The only matchup we and of course I already discussed Tron. The only matchup we lost was Red Madness and against Saffron Olive. So, you know, congrats Saffron Olive. You deprived me of trophy number 5. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, that deck, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, it felt like Saffron always had those Blazing Root Wallas, and like lots of them. Maybe that's just how the deck always rolls. I've played this deck before, and it hasn't always necessarily belched out so many creatures so quickly. And Hollow One too. I've never seen it produce Hollow One so consistently. Usually, I've seen that discarded a lot. There's probably some randomness to it, but yeah, like if this deck is firing on all cylinders, you know, it's just a little hard, because the thing is, if we had more turns, we could have played around the cookbook maker cards, you know, sacrifice food abilities. Like, I think we even did that in the black-green cookbook deck. Like, but just, you know, when we're just under so much pressure so quickly, we're just forced into situations where it's kind of hard for us to set up a turn when we play that or play around that. So, yeah, I mean, that was unfortunate. But anyway, I don't know what else to say other than that. I was impressed. I liked the way the deck ran. I'm still probably going to be on the Might of Old Krosa scale up cards as my pump spells. I don't see myself ever cutting Blossoming Defense, Vines of Vastwood, so forth and so forth. So basically, I feel like most of the deck is kind of set in stone now. In the old days, the Ignoble Hierarch slot used to be a little tricky, but now that we've got another effective Noble Hierarch, I think like this slot's probably a lock. So that leaves the flex slots, in my opinion, mostly scale up and Might of Old Krosa, at least in this build. And I do like the Cathedral of Wars, but I'm not going to lie, I did tinker around a few matches without the Cathedral of Wars and just playing more pump spells. I don't know, I like the Cathedrals. It just ups your land count. It helps you, you know, reach a critical mass of mana and, you know, land drops and whatnot, so you can set up a big Inkmoth Nexus turn while also providing a pump effect, and I like it, but, you know, but you can probably cut it too, and I can't guarantee that this is 100% better. But I like it. I like it, and it always felt better to me, so I'm on Cathedrals. I don't know that they're a lock per se, but probably the cards that are the least lock are Scale Up and Might of Old Krosa in this build. So, you know, with that, I don't know what else to say other than that. I liked how it performed, and if you like this content, you know, like and subscribe. Click the bell icon for notifications, and I also forgot to briefly mention, but like, yeah, in some of our previous versions we played another Infect creature like Necropede or Ichorclaw or something, but I don't know. You know, there might be times where we reach for one, but I felt fairly satisfied. This was actually, I think, the first league I experimented with cutting the 12th Infect creature that isn't Sylvan Scrying in order to find Inkmoth Nexus. So this is the first time I'm basically only playing 8 Infect creatures and 4 ways to find Infect creatures, and it worked out just fine in my opinion. I was a little worried, but there's a reason why blue-green Infect can get away with just playing 12 Infect creatures. It's fine. It's kind of like sometimes you can get away with. It's like with Merfolk when we're on 12 islands for castles and for Mutavaults. More often than not, we usually see an island in our opening hand. So more often than not, we usually see a Infect creature in our hand. Same principle. Sometimes we don't, but usually after a mulligan or two, we almost always see one. So I don't know what else to say other than that. I think 12 is fine. And those other Infect creatures, they just really leave a lot to be desired. I played Blight Mamba in one of our previous ones, but Blight Mamba actually has one advantage that that Blighted Agent doesn't. The regeneration can come in handy against some control decks, but it's just so expensive to regenerate. That's the biggest problem. Even in a deck that has so much mana like this, a lot of times, like you could play it on defense sometimes with the regeneration, but then oftentimes they were still like so far ahead that you were kind of still more banking on just going for your own Alpha Strike next turn anyway. I actually kind of feel like the best option you may actually have out of like Ichor Mirror, which is a 2-mana artifact creature, 1/1 Infect. It gets +2/+2 whenever it's blocked. That card is okay. I don't actually like that card the most. The problem is that you don't want them blocking, so usually if they're blocking, things are kind of going wrong anyway, in my opinion. I mean, sometimes that can be good, but I don't know. And of course Blight Mamba is 2 mana for a 1/1 Infect. It's a green creature, and you can pay 2 and regenerate it. But I actually think the most underrated card might be Necromoeba, which is let's see, Necromoeba. This was actually, I think, probably my longest standing choice for another Infect creature. I mean, ultimately it's a 2 mana for a 1/1 Infect creature, but like what I liked about it is that you could play it out in the face of like a Dark Confidant or like a Delver if it didn't flip, or like a lot of stuff, and it just kind of made things complicated for them. Unlike Blighted Agent, which they could just kill on sight without 2-for-1ing themselves, sometimes you could drop this on the board and then threaten to either go nuts the next turn if they didn't deal with it, or 2-for-1 them if they did deal with it. The problem, of course, was that a lot of times they still would. I mean, they would 2-for-1 themselves, and a lot of times they could still come back and win, just because ultimately you don't win necessarily by 2-for-1ing them in this deck. You win by just pushing through Infect damage. Still, out of all the cards, this card probably impressed me the most in the long run. Although Blight Mamba did impress me that one league that I did get a 4/1 with it, but yeah, I just like the way Necropede, not Necromoeba, Necropede, can 2-for-1 your opponent. So I don't know what to say. 2-for-1 or shrink one of their creatures, or like in the case of Dreadhorde Arcanist. If it's a 1/3 trample, I mean it's a 1 power creature with trample. I know, but yeah, basically, and it allows you to cast instants or sorceries out of your graveyard that cost is less than or equal to its power. And basically, if you put a -1/-1 counter on a Dreadhorde Arcanist, then effectively that ability is shut off because they can only play 0-drop cards. Although they do have some 0-drop cards, so like nowadays Ancestral Vision and Crashing Footfalls and all that jazz. Anyway, so obviously, though, this I think was a success as far as experimenting whether or not we needed to reach for more Infect creatures. I think that was... I always wanted to try these 2 cards, but I couldn't quite fit both of them in. I think they kind of need each other. So far I've liked them. We'll see if we keep sticking on them, but hey, they're quite the combo when they do work together. And sometimes they're just a lot of Infect damage alone, and they can get the job done. Anyway, if you like this content, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon for notifications, and leave a comment, all that good stuff. And see you guys next time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Alright.